You had to be there when Spawn first hit shelves because it was one of those moments that just felt electric. Back in 1992, this comic by Todd McFarlane wasn't just another book on the rack. It was the flagship title for this upstart publisher called Image Comics, and it quickly became one of the most successful independent comic books of all time. It had this dark, gritty energy that nothing else at the time really had, and it captured the imagination of a whole generation of readers who were hungry for something different from the usual superhero fare. Since 2015, McFarlane has been trying to resurrect Spawn as a movie franchise, but the big question on everyone's mind is whether this new movie, tentatively titled King Spawn, will actually see the light of day, or if it's just going to stay doomed to dwell in development hell forever. It's been a long, winding road, so let's break down everything we know about this long-gestating Spawn reboot and try to figure out where things actually stand. So first things first, for anyone who might not be completely familiar with the character, let's talk about what Spawn actually is. Spawn is the brainchild of comic book giant Todd McFarlane, and it centers on Al Simmons, who was a decorated CIA agent. Upon his death, he makes a deal with a demon to return to Earth so that he can see his wife again. But Al's Faustian bargain turns him into a Hellspawn, which is basically a superpowered yet hideously scarred avatar of the underworld. Now going by the name of Spawn, Al has spent over 300 issues fighting the never-ending war between heaven and hell on Earth, and it's this epic, sprawling saga that has kept readers hooked for decades. The character was first imagined by McFarlane when he was a teenager growing up in Calgary, Alberta, and the comic eventually came to life after McFarlane co-founded Image Comics with other Marvel expats like Rob Liefeld, Jim Lee, and Eric Larson. They originally strove to create a publisher where artists didn't sacrifice the creative rights to their work, which was and still is standard practice at Marvel and DC, so it was a pretty bold move at the time. Over the decades, Image's big-ticket titles like The Walking Dead, Invincible, Kick-Ass, Monstrous, Radiant Black, Saga, and more have been major hits that sometimes become centerpieces to their own media empires, and Spawn was just the first in a long line of success for the upstart publisher. It really paved the way for creator-owned comics to thrive, and that legacy is something that still resonates today. In 1997, just before superheroes became a Hollywood goldmine, a live-action Spawn film actually hit theaters with Michael J. White in the lead role, and although it was a box office hit, poor reviews damned the would-be franchise, so it never really got off the ground the way everyone had hoped. Ever since then, McFarlane has been trying to make Spawn as big of a deal on the big screen as he is in comics, but it's been a long and frustrating journey with a lot of false starts along the way. So what's this new Spawn movie all about? Since 2015, McFarlane has publicly discussed his efforts to reboot Spawn for the big screen, and to break down the entire timeline in detail is frankly exhausting because there have been so many twists and turns. But the basic gist is that McFarlane wrote a script with the intention to direct it himself, and by 2017, he had partnered with Blumhouse to produce the movie, which was a huge deal because Blumhouse is known for making high-quality horror films on relatively modest budgets. In 2018, actor Jamie Foxx signed on to star in the title role, and Jeremy Renner also came aboard as one of the comic's supporting characters, a city cop named Twitch, so there was a lot of star power attached early on. Now the project has been rewritten with a new script and is actively seeking a director, so things are definitely still moving even if it feels like it's taking forever. In interviews and in his own social media streams, McFarlane has described his vision for Spawn as a grounded horror movie, with Spawn behaving like the shark in Jaws, as he put it to comicbook.com back in 2017. He explained that in the background, there's this thing moving around, this boogeyman, and that boogeyman just happens to be something that you and I intellectually know is Spawn, but it's not going to be this big, flashy superhero spectacle. In a separate interview for comicbook.com from that same year, McFarlane elaborated on his vision by saying that he's not going for the same crowd that Marvel and DC is going for. Instead, he's going for the same crowd that horror film releases go for, meaning people who want to take their boyfriend or girlfriend or go out with the girls and go to the movies and get spooked. He also told Vulture that year that it's impossible for him to believe that anyone will go to this movie and think it's a superhero movie if they watch the trailer once, because it will clearly communicate that it's not a superhero movie. He said that if you think it is, don't go, because it won't act, talk, or feel like any of that, but what it will act and talk and feel like are creepy little low-budget movies that scare the shit out of you. In July 2024, McFarlane said that the film's new working title was King Spawn, although the movie is not an adaptation of the 2022 comic book series that bears the same name. He mentioned that it's probably just a working title and that he doesn't know if that would be the final title or whatever, but it was just a way to separate it internally and say that this is their version that is different from the one from decades ago. So even the title is still up in the air, but it shows that they're thinking about how to brand this thing differently so that audiences don't go in with the wrong expectations. Now, when will Spawn actually open in cinemas? Well, there isn't a release date yet, and the movie has yet to start production, so we're still in the waiting phase. As recently as July 2025, McFarlane told comicbook.com that the project is still in motion at Blumhouse, and at the time, the parties had contacted a director and reached out with a final offer, although McFarlane did not disclose the name of the director, nor did he ever confirm if they signed on. McFarlane has been pretty candid about the frustrations of this process because he's been talking about it for 7 years, and it just seems like there's always an impediment that's frustrating. He even admitted that he's frustrated his wife, who told him to stop talking about it and just make it, and he thinks that's fair, and he knows the fans feel the same way. But he did say that they are still moving along, and he went and met with the director that they want to sign, and they gave him the numbers last week, so they've given it to them, and hopefully he signs on. McFarlane added that he will withhold updates until every piece of the production puzzle is locked in, because he doesn't think they'll announce when the director signs on. Instead, he thinks they'll announce when they have the script and they've got the buyer, so instead of doing what he's done before, which is announcing every time they hire somebody, they're just going to say it's sold with this director, writer, these people attached as actors, and that's what they're going to make. The contract went out literally last week, and he said it's an A-list director from his perspective, and he feels like they keep getting lucky with Spawn because the people who are excited about it are people that are in the top tier. McFarlane said himself at New York Comic Con 2022 that one of the biggest hurdles he's faced is the Spawn IP itself, because although Spawn is influential in American comics, it doesn't resonate abroad. And that's that for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one. And don't forget to like this video, share it with your family and friends, and subscribe to the channel to stay in the loop. And if you want, you can share your thoughts about this video in the comments section down below.